learn to, compromise and come together and make the best decisions. And I think that spills over into the relationship, or maybe that's vice versa. It just depends on how you look at it in the individual couple. But they learn very quickly how to disagree and not make it a huge fight to where they're not speaking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I learned a long time ago that there's a choice I can make. Either I want to be happy or I want to be right. And I always try to lean towards happiness. But even in a business relationship, you have to really look at what your expectation of the disagreement or what it is you want to get out of it. And I think a lot of times people don't respect maybe their spouse like they would someone in a corporate setting or someone that's paying them weekly for a job. But so how do you guys work with that there? I mean, was that just something that's just part of the love, or is it something you had to work on?
No, you got to work on it. In my opinion, maybe not for everyone. But, we came together in this relationship. Rob had began his entrepreneurial journey when he was in his teen years. I started my first company when I was just 19. So we had never, until 2004 anyway, we had never owned a company together. And all of a sudden, after being the big cheese in our own ventures, we had to work together. And mind you, that was a completely different business than what we do now, because we took over his family's business back in our small town. It was a bowling alley, so it's a very different piece, very family-oriented, but very different. So, it was a challenge, and we really had to learn our strengths and weaknesses. And we certainly had different strengths. Rob had grown up in that industry. I had not. I really hardly ever bowled in my life. So, we had to figure that out, and it definitely took some time. I don't know how long to look back at it, but.
Well, and Tony, you hit on a big section of that just a little bit ago, that
mm-hmm.
we learned to give up the need to be right, that there was no value in being right and gloating about it and doing the I told you so's. It was more about, okay, this is what happened, the situation's here, we deal with it, however it worked out, and now it's fine. So, getting over that egoic trip of, okay, I have to be right in this argument, and learning that my truth sometimes isn't the same truth that Janelle has, and we can both be right at the same time.
Well, and I think another thing I would like to bring up around that as well, which is amazing for your romantic relationship, but as you said earlier, Tony, this has an impact on your relationships, whether it's with your children, your siblings, your parents, whoever, and obviously with coworkers or colleagues, is being able to say, wait a minute, I don't agree with you, so I would like to take a moment, and I want to see it from your perspective. And I'll tell you what, that's a really challenging thing to do when we feel really passionately on our stance. We're like, no, this is the way it's got to be. But you say, wait a minute, let me take a step back. I may not change my mind, but I at least want to see it as best I can from your point of view. And that opens the door for some amazing, I can't even talk today, amazing creativity, completely new ways to even solve problems and new ideas and thoughts you might never have conceived otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. And, a lot of people go out and mastermind with a group of people, but they won't sit down and do it with the person they're closest to. So totally agree. I have a question for you, Rob.
Yes.
I went to a men's conference about 2 months ago. I'm big on accountability. I have 20 years in the gaming industry, and I took the word gamble and I used it as an acronym, and the second letter A is for accountability. So I always believe that a man should hold himself accountable for a lot of things, as the leader of his family and, the decision maker on happy and right and all those good things, right? But they said in this conference that, to a bunch of men, we have an accountability partner we might meet with once a week to hold us accountable for the things that we're trying to do. But what about the thought of having your spouse as an accountability partner? What is the dynamics of being able to grow into hearing the truth, keeping your mouth shut, and growing from it?
Oh, the closer you are in that relationship, the harder it is to, just let that go when you get that criticism from your partner, because that's the person that you that you have the most skin in the game with. That's the person that you're, that you want to make happy. That's the person that, you care about their feelings and everything. So if you can master that skill, that is amazing, because that's the person that, you're doing most of these things for. Like you said earlier, you're accountable for your family and making it happy and things like that. Of course, I don't want to say it's just men, because I think we're all accountable for that. It's not just, the 50s where the man goes out and wins the, brings home the bacon.
I wouldn't be married to you.
But I think if you can get to that point, and I feel that Janelle and I are very at that point. We have our head butting moments. Don't get me wrong, that where we don't see things eye to eye, but we've learned to graciously say, okay, that's great, I understand, and it puts that bug in my ear. When Janelle gives me some criticism or holds me accountable for something, it puts that thought in my mind, and I might go off mad, but it's still there, and I still love her no matter how mad I get at her or no matter how mad she gets at me. We still love each other, and that then, that seed's planted. I know that, just as an example, to take out the garbage, if I don't do it for a few days, or if she always has to tell me, that seed's in there, and eventually I start to go, I need to take out the garbage because I love Janelle.
Well, and even that's such that.
I mean, that's a very basic example.
And that's what I was going to say. Because even with that, just being for us today, it happens to be a Monday, and that's trash day, So this morning I got up and I realized he hadn't taken it out, to the curb, and I just said, hey, it's Monday. Are you going to take that out, or do you want me to go do it? It's no big deal, right? I mean, and I think that's important, because it is kind of a stereotypical argument. But people do that. Take that trash out. And it's so much, stop yelling at each other. And I think the hugest piece is to honor and respect each other. And when you yell and scream at your spouse, or you don't hold them accountable in some way, in a loving way, then you're not honoring yourself either. Well,
and something I want to add there too is be careful the words you choose to use when you're telling your partner that, or giving them criticism. Like if Janelle would say, "You never take out the trash," well, that's a fallacy, because I do take out the trash. It's just I forgot this time. So you got to be careful with the words you use, and understand that you're putting those seeds in your partner's mind, whether they act on it right that minute or it's a couple weeks down the road. You're putting those seeds in your partner's mind, and that's the way a relationship grows, with those little seeds that you put into each other's minds.
Well, so you guys made a lot of really good points, and Janelle, you were very smart in the way that you mentioned the trash. You said, it's not out yet, but if you want, I can take it out for you, and that allows Rob to go, oh, no, I got it, because, like, sometimes we just, we get stuck on stupid from time to time, all of us. But the thing of it is the way you presented it wasn't threatening at all. So moving that into the business world, with in a business setting, whether it's with a client, a prospect, or a partner in business, or an employee, it's really important to be selective with the words you use there, too. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And what a better place to practice it than, well, either way you want to look at that. You can practice it with your employees, your other staff, your colleagues, your clients. You can practice with them if you need to better be able to bring it home, or vice versa. So I think it is. I was sitting here thinking that, though. It's huge. And it does take practice. I don't want anybody to think that I've always been good at it, and I'm still not always good at it. Sometimes I mess up and do stuff that was stupid, and I go, wow, that was really mean. Why would I say it that way? But awareness is key. So when you're aware of doing it, and even if you do make the mistake, being aware of it and being willing to then accept responsibility for it.
Well, and being able to admit that you made a mistake, or to admit or to say you're sorry, things like that go so far in both business, relationships. If you make a mistake at work, you need to step up, accept responsibility for it, apologize to any people that you might have affected by that, instead of just saying, I'm the boss, that's the way it is, no big deal. Because everybody has feelings, whether it's your spouse, your coworkers, your employees, they all have feelings. And to show yours to them is a huge step all the way around.
Well, and being truly I know that the word, let's be our authentic selves, is kind of a buzzword anymore. But it is, I mean, I agree with it, though, because you have to really be yourself. So when you're transparent and you're really, when you hold yourself in integrity, then other people are going to trust you. They're going to feel comfortable with you. So, and obviously, that works. You're going to gain more clients, or your staff's going to stick around. They're going to do a better job for you, or you may get a promotion, or whatever the case may be.
And there's another piece of it, I think, sometimes is as a person, we need that reassurance that we do care about others and that we do try our hardest, even though sometimes it might seem that way. So by doing what you're saying, is you'll get that reassurance just from the way people respond back to you. Now, I want to talk about, you have a book that you're allowing people to get a free copy of today. It's called Richer Together. And let's talk about that, because time goes quick here. You guys know you do a show of your own.
No.
That was good.
Richer Together, Secrets to Working, Living, and Loving Side by Side. As I think I mentioned it earlier just briefly, but it is the book that we released last year originally. But it's all focused. There's 23 of us altogether, couples anyway, entrepreneurial couples. Oh my gosh, there's so many words of wisdom. We share some of it, the story and a little bit of the background, kind of giving everybody the opportunity to peek behind the curtain into the couple's lives a little bit, as well as sharing some amazing insight and tips, and as we call them, words of wisdom from all of these different couples. So not just because they share pieces on both aspects, as far as working in their businesses together as well as their relationship.
Well, and something else I want to tell everybody out there is no matter what you're into, what business you're into, or what your job is, there's a wide range of couples in these books, from the small mom-and-pop shop owner in our hometown to multi-million-dollar couples that are running coaching industries that, just make more money than we can even imagine. So, there's something in there for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lost it, but it's just what I was going to say, Tony. I want to say that another piece that if you are in, and this is a piece I think I even share it somewhere in the book, but if you are in a relationship, if you're in a committed relationship and you live in the same household, guess what? You're actually in business together, because there is a business aspect to our romantic partnership as well.
Okay.
It's almost all topic.
I think it's cool that you got people in a book, sort of a compilation book. I think it's really an opportunity for people to stay more plugged in, because the storyline keeps moving and maybe in the same theme but with different voices. So I wanted to talk about children for a second. Today's world, it seems that the new generation is entitled, and it's probably just because that I'm older and, each generation gets to say that about the generation coming up. But it just seems as though, with technology and, the Internet, how is a relationship going to work out, building relationships with the next generation coming up? I mean, do you guys work in that area at all?
Yeah, we put together a book. It was called The 8 Ways to Communicate, and it was all about, more modern communications, because, the days of just talking to somebody, while, talking is still great and still wonderful, we communicate so many different ways, via text messages, email, even our body language anymore is a way to communicate with people. And, you need to have a grip on all of it, because the technology's not going away. We'll never go, okay, we're going to throw technology out the window and we're going to go back. It's just not going to happen.
I think another thing, too, that is very, very important, and, of course, all of us have seen this. Unfortunately, now with our kids, we see, we've had bullying forever, and now we have the social media aspect to that. Or, kids are taking videos of fights and stuff like that. So, all of that has to be, we have to be really conscious of how we're using it. And even if it's, I know Rob, I don't even know what it was now the other day, but he did a picture or a video or something from here at home and he shared it. And whatever it was, I was like, really? I didn't really want that out there in the world. And it wasn't, like, don't show that. But it just for me, for whatever reason, it triggered something. And it was one of those times where I would have preferred it wasn't out there. So, I let him know.